Okay, so I'm going to show you basically how to use the SFH30 with Aeon software running from a laptop. Aeon is a piece of software that runs both from a laptop or from a little mobile PDA, but in this case we're going to be running it on a little netbook laptop over here. The important things to note, if I just remove the control box from the head, just show you what this looks like. This slides off. So we have 4 motor ports, port 1, 2, 3 and 4, and a power input, data that goes to the laptop, and then a triggers connector, which is only used if you need to, for example, trigger the camera, but a lot of times that's not required. The camera is either triggered manually or from another piece of software. On the other side there are a couple of LEDs. These are important. One is the power. It'll be blue when the power's on, and the other one is the mode. To use it with Aeon, the LED has to be green. If it's orange or yellow or anything but green, it means that it's in a mode that does not work with Aeon, and it's important when you power up to look at this LED to make sure it is in the right mode. Okay? So I have the tilt and pan motor cables, and I'm going to plug them in. All the motor cables are exactly the same. This is for the track. So if you plug them into the wrong port, it doesn't matter. It just means that the wrong axis will move when you try and move it. Okay. Now I have the power cable, which I'm going to plug in here as well. I'll take it off. It's going to be easier if I take it off. I should just slide it on this. And the data cable. Okay. Now the power comes to a 3-pin XLR. This is just 24 volts. You can run it from even an ARRI battery. Okay. And I'm going to plug that in. Now it is important, the mode is selected by whether this cable, the serial cable, is plugged or unplugged. So I'm just going to unplug it for the moment. Plug the power in. I have a little extension so that we can move it along the rails. Okay, and you'll see, I don't know if you can see that, but that's green now as opposed to orange. So I'm going to plug my serial cable in, and the serial is just goes into a serial to USB converter here, and I'm going to start my Aeon software. And this is what the screen looks like when you start. Okay, there are different tabs here along the top. Just going to maximize it. Just different tabs along the top that, for different functions. So the first thing we do is we go to Setup. Okay, and we choose the COM port that comes up. Normally it's just the one, unless the laptop has many different COM ports. So I choose that one and press Connect. When it's connected, the background goes blue to indicate it is connected. Okay, and now I can go to my Move tab, and using my left and right mouse buttons on this current position, I can move the motors. Okay, or my pan, my tilt. Okay, if I had a 4th axis, then I could move it by moving this number, but here it doesn't do anything. Okay, so to program in a move, all I do is I move it to a start position. So let's say I wanted to start there, and I hit Store. Okay, now I move it to another position, my end position. Okay, and I'm going to pan round and tilt up. Okay, and I'm going to store this as my second position. Okay, now I specify how many frames I want to do that. So if I'm doing animation and I want this to be a 25 frame move, I would just type in 25. And if I was doing time-lapse, I could also specify how many seconds per frame. So if I wanted to take one frame every 10 seconds, I would type in 10 in there. Okay? I'm going to show you how to use it for animation initially, not for time-lapse. So what I basically do is I change this to external, meaning I have an external camera on it, not one that I'm controlling. And I press run. Okay? And the first thing it does is it goes back to the beginning of the move, my first position. Okay? And it's now ready to shoot. This indicates what frame it's at. It's at frame 0. Okay? So to go to the next frame, I press pulse.